I think there's a lot less trust in large corporate and large political engines. And that's why, Richard Branson has more followers than Virgin, right? Because people want to hear from the person that they trust. And so it took me a while to figure out, wait a second, this is my platform and it can be what I need it to be. And there's no rule, right? On what that has to look and feel like. This is your brand. I would say the other thing that was difficult for me was trusting other people to do the work.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, founder and CEO of Maior, Shireen Hilal. As you guys know, this podcast is where thought leaders come to talk about their niche expertise. So we'll be diving into her story a little bit, as well as what her company does. So stick around for this one. But without further ado, Shireen, welcome. Thanks for hopping on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Shireen, I think if we can maybe kick things off, if you don't mind, just to provide us a bit around your background.
Sure. So Maior is a consulting firm built for professional service firms that refuse to settle for good enough. We help firms break through plateaus, streamline operations, and increase revenue and profitability. The name Maior is Latin for bigger and reflects a commitment to think bigger about our clients' businesses and expand what's possible for them. And look, the business really came from, probably as most entrepreneurs, my own career and experience. So I
Right.
started as a litigator for a decade in AmLaw 100 firms. I then transitioned into operations and strategy. I was the COO of a national law firm. I had leadership roles in enterprise firms, BDO and KPMG, and I built the growth division of a communications consulting firm. And so those experiences exposed me to best practices at scale, but also highlighted the agility and drive of more boutique and mid-sized firms. Because unlike the larger ones, these are organizations that thrive on speed and impact. And
Yeah.
that's where my firm steps in to help firms like that move fast, see results, and sustain long-term success.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell me, given the industry that you're in, Shireen, what trends are you picking up? What ways are the winds blowing these days?
Good question. So interestingly, we just put out our 2025 trend reports. We
Right.
did one set for law firms, one for accounting and advisory, and a third for creative agencies. But there were a few themes that sort of ran across all of them.
Yeah.
One is the workforce is changing. And so these are firms that rely on their people as the product, right? Professional services. I mean, arguably, no matter what your company is or does, the people are always central. So what we're seeing right now is a remote and hybrid workforce, a lot of confusion about coming back to office. Um, Attrition at higher levels as well, a lot of disgruntled partners, moving books of business, et cetera. And so there's a real need to build a cohesive culture,
Yeah.
even across the globe. And at the same time, there's an opportunity to use this new platform to have a more diverse workforce. And so, meaning offshore employees, fractional help,
Mm.
freelance work. And so it doesn't have to be this one size fits all model anymore. And I think some firms are struggling to kind of put the toothpaste back in the tube. And the truth is, we've moved beyond that. The
Mm.
next pain point that I would say has been consistent across the entire market, budgets have gotten tight, and corporate buyers in particular are looking for more value and better insights from their outside providers. And so that is a place where all of these outside vendors will sort of need to step up their game and make sure they're not being commoditized.
That's a good point you're making. What I picked up as well when you talking about vendorships is that I tend to get the feeling that there's a lot of vendors that's trying to add to their repertoire, add to their skill of what they can do to make things easier for the smaller companies to only have to hire a couple of vendors that can cover a majority of work, on different verticals. For example, I picked it up in the IT sector as well, where it's not just cybersecurity, for example, but now it's AI solutions that they've put together and those kind of things. So um, that's one thing that I picked up as well. But what you just mentioned now is very interesting, and I think it makes it for good dynamic, right? In the sense that I think there's a lot of these companies that will need to jack up their game, and a lot of companies that need to rethink their strategies. So no, well
I
said.
think that's right.
Tell me, um, I think this is a good time if you could please explain what is it exactly what your company does.
Yeah. So we solve issues that hold firms back from achieving real progress. And so
Okay.
that can be operational inefficiencies, lack of profitability. So the money's coming in, but it seems to be going out as fast as it comes in. Challenges scaling without losing the special sauce or the culture. And so it really depends on the firm and what they need. But we help our clients enhance the bottom line, implement actionable strategies, and ultimately create sustainable systems that align with their goals. And what sets us apart and is different than your average consultant is we have a very practical hands-on approach. So we don't believe in creating strategy in a vacuum. We get to know our clients very intimately and work with them to ensure that the strategies that we're bringing work for the people that are going to actually have to use them on a day-to-day basis. We then sit with them to iterate them and continue refining because the truth is no plan ever survives contact, right? And so no matter how great the plan is, I think you still have to be open to changing it once
Mm.
you're on the ground. And you clients trust us because our solutions are built for real world execution, not theoretical exercise.
Tell me from a obviously there's in any industry there's always some competition, right? And the road to success is not always or never in most people would say the road isn't always straight. There's always a couple of curveballs that's your way. Can you possibly provide an example of where you have struggled to grow the business or some sort of glass ceiling you hit, and what you did to get through it?
Yeah, good question. I would say I'm a little bit blessed in the sense that I chose to build my business around helping professional services firms go to market better, stand out in a crowded market, staff in a way that's more efficient, build better process. The benefit of that for me on a selfish level is I'm also a professional services firm. And so hopefully I'm okay at doing those things for myself.
Yeah.
At the same time, man, it's awfully tough when it's you in the driver's seat. And the thing that for me was the biggest struggle, I would say really two things actually. One was after working in enterprise firms for so long,
Yeah.
it took me probably close to 6 months to a year of having my own firm before I really felt comfortable speaking in my own voice and not feeling that I had to be, I don't know how to put it, like speaking in platitudes from a corporate point of view. And the truth is
Yeah.
that that doesn't actually connect with people, and people don't buy from companies, they buy from people. And it's actually an advantage right now. Especially we're in a world where I think there's a lot less trust in large corporate and large political engines. And that's why, Richard Branson has more followers than Virgin, right? Because people want to hear from the person
Yeah.
that they trust. And so it took me a while to figure out, wait a second, this is my platform and it can be what I need it to be. And there's no rules, right? On what that has to look and feel like. This is your brand. I would say the other thing that was difficult for me was trusting other people to do the work. So as I've grown, there's a point where I have to push the work down and get help. Otherwise, I can't keep selling
Yeah.
more service. But it's awfully hard to let go or to know how much to let go. And again, that's something where easy for me to tell my clients to do it, but when it's your baby, um, try leaving the baby with a new sitter for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. It's I can think, and at the end of the day, may it be that maybe you want to take some rest or focus on something else in the company or the new clients or the case maybe at the back of your mind, it's always there. you
It
know,
is.
and
And and if you love what you do, there is no such there to me at least, there's no such thing as work-life balance. This is my life, right? And it all blends together and it's what I love doing. So I think that makes it even harder when it's your business to really step
mm,
back because there's also a piece of you that you kind of love it, right? You love all the pieces because that's why you built this.
but yes, I fully understand what you're saying. Can you possibly provide us with an example of where you've assisted a company, where you got into the company, a couple of challenges that they had and things that you've sorted out, and obviously for them to see the light better at the end of the tunnel. Uh, you don't have to mention the company's name.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I can give a few examples. One was a boutique law firm.
Yeah,
It was two women who left Big Law, started their own practice, and had scaled and gotten to about 20 employees. They had hit a point where as one of them said, all the joy is being sucked out of owning my own business. And so she felt, and her partner felt very much that they were still stuck sort of micromanaging the details, could never step away, that they had built a firm meant to very purposely not be the same as your cookie cutter big law firms,
sure.
but they'll realize, wait a second, we thought by giving everybody freedom and no rules, everyone would sort of be an adult and step up. Well, what we've found is as we've gotten larger, there's no rules. And so people don't even know what good looks like. And so for them, I came in and did a total reset of what are the real expectations? What does compensation look like? How do you get extra compensation? Like, what is the baseline and what does it mean to go above baseline? What are the standards that are really the line in the sand for this firm? And how are we showing employees, not just telling them what good looks like and how to achieve that, and empowering them to
Mm,
make their own decisions and make those better? So for me, that was an incredibly rewarding engagement. And I really enjoyed working with them and seeing everybody at the firm happier and with better understanding of what's the value when you work here and what does that look like and what should I expect at year end. Um, another one that's sort of a different issue completely, a business development challenge. So I have another law firm, boutique firm again, and this is a group of highly specialized securities law experts. And so we're talking partners who had formerly been at the SEC, at the federal prosecutor's office in Manhattan, etc., but had a lot of trouble standing out in a crowded market because in Manhattan, every high-rise office building has a securities law practice. And so, as amazing as this group was, they had a hard time differentiating. And so, for them, I built a program that helped them connect better with their current clients and enlarge their client base. And so their clients are the general counsel and chief compliance officers and their teams at banks, hedge funds, asset managers, right? Financial services. And so what we did is we had a roundtable where instead of your usual law firm event where you have a partner speaking at the podium and everyone's listening, and then there's a cocktail party and everyone's swanning around awkwardly, instead, we set up
The
tables.
template.
I know, right? Typical. You can tell I've been to more than one.
Yeah.
Instead, we set up tables in this room. Each table had 5 or 6 people. There was a
Yeah.
partner at each table, and it was marketed to them more as this is an opportunity to workshop with your peers on your biggest, thorniest compliance and legal issues that are securities issues. And so at each table was a diverse group. So, meaning maybe one person from one hedge fund, one from another asset management group, one from a financial services firm, and that partner. And they would brainstorm and talk about real issues and help each other solve the problem. Well,
Yeah, that's
the
awesome.
great part about this is they're meeting each other in a way where they're building connections in a warmer way than you do, again, swanning around at the cocktail party and awkwardly giving out your business card because you're talking about real things. The partner is able to shine in a way I probably should have noted at the beginning of this example, this most of the personalities of this group were a little bit bookish. These were
Yeah.
not people who were comfortable sort of in your traditional networking settings.
Mm.
So this gave them a setting where they were able to shine, doing what they do best, which is talking about the law, talking about how a potential client should answer a question or deal with the business. And we met the next day as a group. I sat with the group of partners and I said, great, now let's talk about all the insights that we heard. What's top of mind? What are the biggest things they're worried about? These are our thought leadership topics for the next 6 months.
Right. That is excellent. What an example. What a good example.
I'm glad it
Tell me.
resonated. Yeah, so those are the kinds of programs that I build is
That
I
is awesome.
really try to understand what are the personality types and how do I build a program that lets these people shine?
Nice.
Because look, if I try to give somebody something to do that is not in their natural skill set, you and I both know it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they'll do it for a week and then it's like a steep cutoff, like going to the gym and they won't
Yeah.
want to go again. So you have to make it something that they get excited about and where they can shine and where it gave these clients and prospects a kind of value that they're not used to getting from these security lawyers and their peers. Um, and let them really make new connections and let the partners look good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me, Shireen, you've been doing this for quite some time. We've got a lot of listeners that that they might be stuck in at their current job and they want to jump ship, or
Hmm.
it might be that there's entrepreneurs that wanting to get into this kind of space that you're in. If there may be one or two golden nuggets, as they say, that you're willing to share about, what does it take to become a founder CEO of a company in the industry that you're in?
Oh, that's such a good question.
It's a loaded one. I know
I
it's loaded.
know, right? There's so
Yeah.
many good answers too, but the things that come top of mind for me, so one is sharing thought leadership openly and generously has been the most rewarding and impactful strategy for my firm. Not just for growing the company, but also because I don't believe in hoarding insights. If you're truly the best at what you do, and hopefully you believe you're the best if you are going on your own and starting something, I think you really have a responsibility to lead the conversation,
Yeah.
challenge people to think differently, and give a real example. That's how you drive progress, not
Mm.
keeping things to yourself, but by raising the bar. And it works for business because it aligns with what people need. You're solving real problems and you're helping people succeed in tangible ways. And for me, I think my clients see the advice is not theoretical, it's not self-serving. I actually use this tip. So when I want to hire somebody, who else would you turn to? The person who's been helping you. So I would say that's one big one. The other one, and it's the biggest mistake I see in business owners, people just don't move fast enough. Act on your ideas. There's only so much you're going to get out of boardroom meetings and standing doing PowerPoints or on the whiteboard. I'm not saying you should rush in and make huge decisions and bet the company.
Yeah.
Find the smallest way to test an idea. Maybe it is with one client, maybe it's in one department, maybe you try one ad type if it's a go-to-market idea, right? No one's saying you have to completely pivot, but
Yes.
test it, see what really works, iterate, and keep moving. And so the idea that you're somehow going to solve a real world challenge, talking it out, there's
Yeah.
only so much data you need. The rubber needs to meet the road.
Yeah, and you know what I found as well with sometimes we need to represent our clients when it comes to brokering deals and thus forth. And what I've learned is that you get into boardrooms and the company's being called in, which is great because there's potential business on the line here. They've been called in, and then the CEO would say, "All right, let's say in my situation, all right, Mr. King, these are our problems or our challenges we have in the company. That's why we got you in. Come in and sort it out, right?" And then if one starts with a conversation session on the first day to say, all right, let's talk about these things, about these challenges, 3/4 of the time, the challenges that they thought they had at that department that you might mention or that sector was not the problem, where it actually derived or came from or initiated or started from somewhere else. And
Right.
it's
It's a
because,
symptom. Yeah,
yes, and yeah, treating, yeah, the symptom. And it is, and I've seen that like time and time again.
I do
Um,
too.
so I would think in your line, you pick up a lot of things, and as well as, your top people in the company, your top decision makers necessarily do not, they don't necessarily want to hear about the nitty gritty. All they want done is they would just say, this is the problem and get it done, right? And
Right.
and a lot of the time they do not fully understand, depending on obviously what it is, but not fully understand what it will take to solve that problem, or the amount of impact it will take, or even if time's a currency, what it will take to resolve the issue. So yeah, I don't know a lot, but that's a couple of things that I picked up. So I agree, it's interesting.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Definitely. Tell me, what is then on the horizon for 2025? What goals you got planned for? What's in the diary?
In the diary for Maior is growth. I feel very fortunate that we have grown steadily and I'm adding headcount, which is
Awesome.
super, super exciting for me. Have a couple people that work with me already. Started with one person part-time offshore and just have been building it as I go. I think the other thing for me is as that person and others hopefully join, more folks, I'm saying person because right now I'm actually interviewing for one specific role.
Yeah.
I think then for me it's leaning back in and doubling down on the insights, the thought leadership, etc., because truly it's the piece I love and it is what drives the business and it's sort of the North Star. Um,
Right.
you know, if you're not constantly challenging yourself to learn about what's affecting your clients all the time and think about those solutions creatively,
Yeah.
how are you going to bring them in when you're on the ground doing the work? And so for me, that it kind of comes together. I find I'm writing about a topic, and 3 months later, for example, I did an entire article on remote work and how do you sort of bring back the right culture regardless of location. And that's something that I use all the time when I developed the framework, and then I'm in
Yeah.
a real firm and you're seeing these issues. And so you use a flavor of one of those solutions, and you tweak it so it fits that firm's culture and quirks, but the foundation is there. And so I think it's just that constantly thinking about what's the bigger next idea.
Next idea. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah,
Shireen, thank you so much for the willingness to come on today, as well as willing to share your thoughts and your expertise. I can fully understand why you are scaling and growing. And like I earlier mentioned, you're breaking through glass ceilings. So I wish you all the best going forward. Just
thank
lastly,
you.
from my side, tell me, where can the listeners get hold of you?
Yeah, I'm Shireen Halal, and it's Maior Consulting. You can visit us on our website, which is Consultants with an S.com, or you can always find me on LinkedIn, and I regularly share my insights there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.